You're now tuning in to Fatima Bey, the MindShifter. Get ready to shift your thinking and turn it into success.
Hello, and thank you for listening. Today's message is entitled, Making Room for Change. And I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to actually talk to two different sides of the same issue. Because most of you have been on one side or the other of this issue, even if unaware. Now, making room for change, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give you some examples, and I want to really make sure that I state these examples are just that. They are examples, but the principle, which is what I teach more on principles than just details. This principle about making room for change can be applied to many, many different details of your life and the lives of others around you. So I want you to think about that as I say these. And again, these examples are just examples that are very easy to see. So I'm going to use someone with substance abuse as the first example. So someone with substance abuse, no matter what that substance is, a drug, alcohol, whatever the substance is, it's a struggle for them. And even if once they go through rehab, they go through whichever type of rehabilitation system, whether it's one where they go live there or one where they go weekly, whichever it is, it's a struggle. And even once they come out of it, they still may struggle. After a while, it may not be so much of a struggle for them anymore. And many of them will come back and help others going through the same struggle, which is a beautiful thing. But it is a struggle, and they have weak moments, for sure. Someone who used to be a liar. You were a compulsive liar, and you now try to live a life where you are walking in truth, and you try to fight that urge to lie all the time. That's a change. That's going to be a struggle. Someone who has been through a lot of financial hardships because of their own financial misuse. That's a struggle. When you try to change the way you've always thought, because finances are more about the way of thinking than they are just about money. When you try to change your thought process and your actions to follow and how you handle your resources, that can be a struggle. It's very easy to go back into old habits and spend money all willy-nilly like you just want to. When someone is a gambling addict, or they've done a lot of gambling and they're trying not to do it anymore because they want to be more fiscally responsible, it's a struggle. Many get there. Many do get there. And they have groups for that too. But while they're getting there, it's a struggle. There are so many other things that we may try to change in our lives. You used to be mean and selfish. Now you're trying to be nice to others and think about others and not just yourself. That's great. But that doesn't mean that change is going to happen overnight. It doesn't. As human beings, when we are changing, it almost never happens overnight. Change is a process. As the saying goes, progress is a process. And if you're looking to change, that's a beautiful thing. If you're looking to better yourself, but understand that struggle, at least to some degree, there are varying degrees of it and different kinds, depending on your details. But struggle is a normal part of it. You're trying to change. You're trying to get an education. And you come from a family where education has never been a priority. It has never been praised. And you grew up very uneducated. You're trying to change. You're trying to grow. And it's a beautiful thing. But it can be discouraging at times, especially if you don't have the right people around you. Now, these are all examples of very, very different types of changes. Some of them are they're all evolving, really. They're all growth. Just looking a little different and with different subject matters. But what they all have in common is the effort for change. Now, told you I was going to talk to two different people. The person who's changing and the other person I'm going to talk to is those of you who are around those who are changing. Because you have an influence. When a person is changing, I'm going to first talk to those of you who are around the person that is changing. And then I'm going to talk to the changer. So if you are around someone that is changing, whatever their details are, your mouth is a big deal because you can encourage or discourage someone while they're in a sensitive state. Now, I don't care who you are or what change we're talking about. Change always puts us in a sensitive state. There are varying degrees of sensitivity. There are different types of sensitivity, but it puts you in a sensitive state one way or the other. Because when the person is in the process of change, they're going to have weak moments. Guess what? That's normal. And if you are around that person and you keep bringing up their past, you are doing more harm than good. A person who was an alcoholic and they're trying to get over that and they're trying to move on. Your mouth can keep them under what they're trying to get over. I'll repeat that. Your mouth can keep them under what they are trying to get over. See, they're trying to get over their issue. They're trying to get over being financially irresponsible. They're trying to get over mistreating people. They're trying to get over being a liar. They're trying to get over being lazy. It could be something as simple as that. They're trying to get over whatever their detail is. You keep them under that detail when you put them back there with your mouth. Oh, you always been a drunk. You always going to be a drunk. When someone is trying to rehabilitate that and they're going through the process, comments like that can actually discourage them. Now, maybe they were drunk and maybe they were the biggest jerk in the world when they were drunk. And that may be true. But why do you need to bring it up and shove it in their face when they're trying to change? Well, a person who's trying to change is in a sensitive spot. Now, I'm bringing this up because I see it all the time. And I also see people that don't mean any harm, but also don't recognize that that's exactly what they're doing. You just like your mama. She was a drunk and you're going to be a drunk too. Blah, blah, blah. Please shut up. Because all you're doing is discouraging them and keeping them under what they're trying to get over. Now, I want to sidebar here a little bit. I am only talking about those who are making legitimate effort at change. I am not talking about those who say that they know they need to change but ain't doing a damn thing about it. I'm not talking about them because they're not changing. I'm talking about when people are changing. And yes, sometimes you might not recognize that at first. So use some wisdom before you open your lips. You can say things like, you know what, you always drunk, but I hope that this is going to work for you. Even a little statement like that can make a big difference. It can encourage instead of discourage. You want to use your mouth to help them to climb over what they're trying to get over and not push their head back in the water and let them keep drowning in whatever they're drowning in. If someone's trying to learn, they're trying to be fiscally responsible and they're trying to learn how to do that, or they know how to do it and they're just finally, putting their action to what they know. They did before. Don't keep bringing up how irresponsible they were before. Yes, they were. And you could be exactly right. And you might be exactly true in what you're saying. But do you need to say it? How are you using your words? Are your words doing anything productive? And sometimes people just doing that because they're mean jerks. And if that's you, stop being it. Stop doing that because you ain't helping nobody. And you're the kind of people that we all need to stay away from. But if you are doing that, I want you to examine yourself. Have you done that to someone around you? Is someone trying to stand up for themselves and you're like looking at them like they're crazy because you're not used to seeing that and you want them to just be who they were? So you start reminding them of everything that they used to do and try to keep them under that. You're not giving them room for change. Now, I'm going to talk to the changer right now. I'll go back to the person who is, just 1 second. I want to go back to the person who is around the person that's changing. And again, emphasize, give them the room they need to grow. Watch your mouth. Because I don't care who they are. I don't care how tough you think they are and how tough they might actually be. A person who is changing is in a somewhat volatile state. They are in a sensitive state, no matter what that change is. Now, for the person who's changing, I want to say to you, I want to encourage you, please move forward, regardless of what people around you, regardless of the ignorance of some of the people around you who may not recognize that you're trying to change for the better. They may not recognize that you are trying to change for real. Good for you. Please continue to change. But for the changer, I want you to understand, if you've been addicted to a substance and you've lied a lot, and you're trying to do better and you're not lying anymore, that's a beautiful thing. But it's not realistic for you to expect them to just magically accept that. You are going to have to prove yourself. You've lied a lot. You're going to have to prove yourself with truth over and over again. We need to see a pattern. See, we've seen a negative pattern in you already. So now you have to show us a positive pattern. It doesn't matter if you think people should accept it immediately or not. It really doesn't matter. What matters is reality, not what you think it should be. So you have to be realistic as well and understand that you are going to, depending on your details, you are going to have to show and prove. Let's say you're in a marriage and you've been the irresponsible spouse financially. Well, you're going to have to show and prove to your spouse before they really trust and believe you for when it comes to finances. That doesn't make them bad. It makes them a normal human being. You have shown us a pattern. We have learned to not trust you. We have learned to not be around you or whatever your details are. We have learned about you because of the patterns that you've shown us. That's true for both good and bad. So now you have to show us the good patterns so that we can learn to trust you. But I also want to encourage you. Change is a beautiful thing. Understand that you having a weak moment while you're changing does not make you a failure. It does not make you a loser. It makes you in progress. It makes you in the process for your progress. And also for the changer, if you have those negative people around you that I just mentioned, and maybe they're your family members, maybe it's even your spouse, could be a close friend, might even be a coworker, whoever it is, you really need to communicate to them and let them know, I'm really trying to change. And when you say stuff like that, it just puts me back. Could you please just not make those comments? Now, Some of them, if they're good people, they'll actually listen to you. And they'll stop. I've seen that happen. If they're not, they're going to dismiss you, fluff it off, have something smart to say, whatever. Stay away from them. You don't need to be around them then. Keep making your change. Don't let them stop you. Don't let their ignorance stop you. Change is a beautiful thing. So you march forward. You keep making your change. You keep doing what you need to do to better yourself. Whatever that detail is for you. And it doesn't have to be something as big and devastating as an addiction. It could be as little as attitude. Well, attitude is not as little as we think, but you get my point. It could be so many different details. And I say it that way because every listener, you're not in the same situation. We're not all at the same levels. So I want you to be able to understand this principle and apply it. Make your change, but give yourself room for change too. Don't beat yourself up because you made a mistake in your process. You're trying to quit smoking. I know very few people that have quit smoking cold turkey. There are people that do, but they're the exception, not the rule. Most of them have to taper it off. So you didn't smoke for 2 weeks and now you smoked. Okay. That's not good, but it's not the end of the world either. Keep moving forward because you can get there. I know plenty of people that did. And again, I want to say to everyone listening, make room for change. If you're changing, give yourself the space you need. And if someone else is changing around you for the better or trying to, give them the space they need. We all need room to grow. You've been listening to Fatima Bey, the MindShifter, and I thank you for listening. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, please email me at radio@fatimabey.com. That's RADIO at FATIMABEY.com. And again, thank you for listening.
Tune in next week for another segment of Fatima Bey, the MindShifter. For more of her teachings, subscribe to her YouTube channel at Fatima Bey, the MindShifter.